All right, welcome back. My name is Morgan, and on this channel, I create lots of different food content. I also post a lot to TikTok and Instagram where I go by the handle Morgan Chomps. We've now made it to the third installment of this fast food horror story series that I recently started. This is where I read fast food horror stories that either you've sent in to me or ones that I've pulled from the fast food horror stories subreddit. If you have your own horror story pertaining to food that you would like to send to me, please do not hesitate to do so. I would love to read them on here. I always have the full instructions on how to send those to me in the description box. For today's drink of choice, I have the True Lemon Blue Raspberry Kids Mix. We've already established that I love their kids line. I always have a link in my description box where you can get 20% off your True Citrus order. You can also use the code Morgan Chomps at checkout at truelemon.com. I think that's all the intro stuff I have for today, so let me scooch myself over so we can get right into reading these stories. My setup is clearly still a work in progress, but did you notice the new decoration? And just as a quick reminder, I do not pre-read these stories. And for today's video, I did pull all of these stories from Reddit. This one's titled, First Day of Work Experience Fast Food. Recently got hired at Popeyes, and the first thing they made me do on my first day was drive-through. I only had 20 to 30 minutes of training for taking orders, then I was put on drive-through by myself, and the manager would help me once in a while because she was busy making orders. And it was really hard, especially since I didn't have any experience with customers and cashiering. I was a complete newbie at fast food. Customers would show up on the drive-through and they'd order so fast that I had to tell them to repeat what they said. And sometimes the customers would get mad just because I'm telling them to repeat. I had no trainer, just the manager with me. I was just by myself on the drive-thru for 6 hours straight. And yes, I made a ton of mistakes. One huge mistake was getting 4 orders wrong in a row and 5 people paying for the wrong orders. It was so hard. I just wanted to quit on the spot, but I knew that would be bad for future jobs, so I kept my cool. On top of that, only 4 of us were working evening shift. We were extremely low staffed. Cars would pile up outside and customers would be rude, but most of them knew I was a newbie and told me to relax because they'd all been there before. So that helped me get motivated, but it was a total disaster on my first day at Popeyes. 5 wrong orders in a row and 4 people paying for other people's food. I feel so bad and embarrassed. Like, I don't know if it's my fault for being slow because I have no experience or because I didn't get the proper training. I only trained for 30 minutes. Can someone at least tell me if they had a bad day like this on their first day on the job, or am I just bad? Anybody that's worked knows that first days on the job are just bad, period. It doesn't even matter if you end up loving or hating the job itself. It's always just the worst. And putting this person on drive-through with basically no training and with having no prior experience, totally setting them up for failure, and you'd think the manager had to have known that. They did say they were short-staffed, so the manager might have had no other choice. This person also mentions that they didn't want to quit on the spot because they thought it would be bad for future jobs. And I really wanted to comment on this because, listen, I've quit a few jobs here and there on like the second or third day. Yeah, I'm one of those people. So here's what I really want to say to anybody out there. If the job just doesn't feel right, if you're getting a bad gut feeling, or if the job is not what you were told it was going to be, whatever the case may be, you can quit. It won't hurt you because you don't have to list that job on your resume. So nobody's going to know. Who's gonna know? And let me just end this by saying in no way was this person's fault. Like, you can't expect to give someone with no experience to begin with, no training, and then have them do a spectacular job. I hope this person did come to realize that this was not on them at all. The title of this one is DoorDash Driver Threatened to Kill My Manager. So this happened a couple of months ago, but I've been on this sub reading stories and thought it was the perfect place to share. I work at a salad place where you can come in and pick from the menu or build your own, and we assemble the salad and mix it up for you. We close at 8 p.m. 7 days a week. The night this happened, we were short-staffed. It was myself, my manager, another coworker, and the dishwasher. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but we were extremely busy for some reason, with a line out the door and endless online orders for both pickup and delivery. It was around 7 p.m. and my manager goes to print out an online ticket only to see the order consisted of 20 custom salads. This isn't unusual. We work down the block from a hospital. And she immediately just said nope and canceled it. We never do this, so when we cancel an order, there's a reason. She told us not to do the order, refunded it for the customer, and said if a DoorDash driver came to pick up the order, to explain to them we don't have the order and won't be making it either. Half an hour later, the line is still out the door and we were running out of most ingredients at this point. But the online orders had pretty much stopped. There were a couple of DoorDash orders waiting to be picked up at the counter, and I was helping a customer when the driver for the canceled order comes in. When I was finished with my customer, I asked the driver what name they were picking up for, and he said, insert canceled order's name here. I explained that the order had been canceled, and he immediately asked for the manager. I said, of course, one moment please, and my manager walks over and explains the situation to him, but he just would not take no for an answer. He proceeds to go back and forth with my manager for about 10 minutes about how he is not leaving without the order. And my manager repeatedly says it's been refunded already. We don't have the staff or ingredients to make the order, and she is not making it, period. She goes to walk away at that point, and he just starts screaming profanities at her, all with a bunch of customers in the store. She walks towards the other end of the line and goes to take a customer, but he follows her down and interrupts her, and at this point she lost her cool and starts giving him attitude back. I mean, can you blame her? Now it's like 7:45, the line has pretty much cleared out except for a couple other customers, and another dasher arrives and my manager goes to give the other driver the order. He follows her back down and leans over the counter, screaming in her face at this point. My manager just keeps repeating, "Get out of my face and leave the store before I call the police." He calls her a and threatens to slam her head on the counter if she doesn't make the order. My other coworker goes over to them and starts arguing with him as well as he goes on about how he's going to come back there and kill her. I was finishing up with the last customer and I was ready with my phone to call the police when he starts walking away. My manager made a comment about how he needs to get a real job and how she bets he's so good with the ladies. I respect that level of petty. He starts walking back over and I show him my phone with 911 dialed and put it up to my ear like I dialed them. He left after that, but not without a couple more words to say. My manager was on the phone with DoorDash for the remainder of closing duties trying to get this guy's information. She finally got it. He was banned from our location, hopefully fired too, and my manager filed a police report, although not sure if she ever pressed charges. I was shaking so bad for the rest of my shift, it was so scary. Not sure what the driver would have been paid to deliver the order, but holy it could not have been that much. Props to my manager, she's really tiny, for not letting this bigger guy intimidate her. DoorDash drivers are already rude enough, coming in shoving phones into our faces, and reaching over the counter, grabbing random orders, and leaving with the wrong ones. And this isn't even the first time a driver has been banned from our store for verbal abuse and threats. We have one driver who is super sweet though and comes in multiple times a day and makes up for all the shit ones, along with a select couple others. I will never forget that night though. First off, putting in an order for 20 salads an hour before closing time is just a dick move. I get that maybe he had to drive a little bit out of his way, but to be this angry, maybe he got his hopes up that he would be delivering this huge order so he'd be getting like a massive tip. But aside from that, why does he really care? He's not going to be eating it. If anybody DoorDashes, tell me why you would be rationally upset about this. Definitely props to the manager for holding her ground against this guy. I am sorry to hear that DoorDashers are acting like this. I have seen a few TikToks here and there of angry customers grabbing random orders, but up until this point, I honestly hadn't thought about like Uber Eats or DoorDash or Grubhub drivers causing such chaos as well. Hoping the author of this story and their manager were able to move on from this and are both doing well. This one is an image and the title is Chewed Up Bubblegum in Our McFlurry. Oh, so disgusting. Okay, something you need to know about me is I hate gum. I always have for some reason, it just grosses me out beyond belief. So this is like sending me. Absolutely not. I would be suing. Not really, but also kind of. I don't know. I'd rather find so many other things in my McFlurry other than gum. This one is simply titled Karen. It reads, so we were closed and we had someone call. I wasn't sure who it was, but I thought it was a coworker's person calling because that's normally what happens. But anyways, it wasn't. She was confused and so was I because we had just closed. Anyways, I hang up the phone thinking nothing of it. Then this person calls again, going on about missing food. She was already on her way, and I had told her that we were closed and that everything was thrown out. The person hangs up. She then proceeds to pound on the window at another coworker who is telling her we're closed. And so I have to go over there and tell her we're closed. We don't have food. But she proceeds to tell me that she's missing stuff. And I'm over here like, what do you want me to do about it? We're closed. Everything is off and getting clean now. But then she's like, don't do that. And so I get fed up and say, okay, bye. I proceed to close the window and lock it. I go back to tell the other manager about her and if she's there or not. And she drove off when we came back up front. So we carry on like nothing happened. She calls again and the other manager answers the phone and she's nasty about asking for a name. The other manager says it's a different manager and I left, which I didn't. But then Karen proceeds to hang up again. And so me being the person I am, petty, I block her number from calling the store. I don't know if that's justified or just petty. Most likely petty. But she was rude and so I just did what I do best. Block people. But anyway, I'd love to know if anyone had a similar experience. Again, what is it with people ordering food right at closing time? Truly the worst kinds of people. To me, it shows that they must have never worked a fast food or restaurant type job or just completely lack empathy because otherwise they would absolutely know better. I mean, regardless, human decency is a thing I wish we all had. I love a good petty moment, but honestly, I think this crosses the line into to justified. If she's that rude and like all over the place with her behavior, you really don't need to run into her again. I'm sure there's plenty of other customers. Well, this one is nicely titled Sundays from Hell. So this one says, I work almost every Sunday breakfast at my location and it's always miserable. To begin with, we don't have nearly as many employees as we need, and of the ones we do have, there's almost always someone who calls off, someone who is late, or someone who has to leave early because of illness or some emergency that suddenly came up. The rest are 15-year-olds who, because of legal reasons, have a longer list of things they cannot do than the list of things they can. For example, they cannot cook food or go anywhere near the cooking area. They cannot go in the walk-in or freezer for stock. They aren't even allowed to go outside to change garbages or run food out to customers. And we often have 3 to 4 on a shift. So recently I had a shift where a manager, one of my top support coworkers, called off. This made me lose one of my other top employees because they had to go up front from the back of house to cover for said manager. Then on top of that, the only other non-15-year-old up front with me drops the bomb on me that she hurt her back and has a doctor's note. The general manager told me nothing about that and states she cannot do any lifting, pushing, pulling, etc. She can't even run food out because carrying it is too heavy. So now I'm essentially up front by myself in a sea of children and one physically impaired employee doing literally everything besides taking the orders and pouring the coffee. And of course, the line is moving slower than molasses because I have 2 hands and about 9 jobs to cover. And customers are glaring at me and giving me crappy attitudes because we suck. Sundays always fill me with dread and anxiety starting Friday night and leave me in tears when they're over. I don't want to screw my coworkers over by quitting, but it may be time. This is getting insane. This just shows that dead weight is worse than no weight at all. And it sounds like these 15-year-olds are just bodies at some points. That's not me commenting on how good or bad each is as an employee, because it's not their fault they can't do certain tasks, but I can just see how it would be so frustrating to have the staff, but the staff just not being allowed to essentially work. Also, I want to say that Sunday crowds are always the most ruthless. You've got all the church people out and about, either going to breakfast before or after church. And I say this as someone who used to attend church every Sunday. Church people are the meanest customers, period. You can't even argue with me. So I'm sure these Sundays were just as this person described, definitely straight from hell. Kind of ironically. This one's title is Wild Experience at McDonald's. So I just had an experience at my local McDonald's that left me wondering if I was on the TV show, What Would You Do? So to set the scene, it is me and this other lady ordering inside the lobby. The lady was in front of me and starts her interaction with the cashier with, "Do you have salads again?" I guess they removed salads because of COVID. The cashier responds with, "No, we still don't." The lady then responds with, "Then what do you have that is not fattening on the menu?" The cashier was a little stunned and answered with, "Well, we have wraps." The lady says, "Okay, I will take the grilled chicken one," and the cashier responds with, "Do you want the bacon one or the Caesared one?" The lady responds with, "No, I want the chicken one." The cashier then explains that both of them have grilled chicken, but they come with different toppings, and the customer eventually picks the Caesar one. The cashier states that it will be $9.47, and the lady gets mad at the cashier and eventually just ends up picking the smaller, cheaper snack size version. She then does not take her receipt at the counter. I then start to order, and while ordering, from the corner of my eye, I see this lady come up next to me with napkins. She eventually uses these napkins to wipe the top and use the hand sanitizer. Eventually, we have both placed our order and are waiting. The worker then calls the number out to the order, but since she did not take her receipt, she has no clue and just says, "Well, is that the snack wrap?" The worker goes, "Yes," and hands her the bag. After that, while the customer is leaving, she throws the napkins that she used to wipe the top of the hand sanitizer in front of the tills at the front cashier while the cashier's back was turned making my smoothie. I left the whole experience rattled, and I could not believe all the problems and disrespect this customer gave the workers over one single snack wrap. Also, let me say the cashier was nice throughout all interactions somehow, LOL. You gotta love being clueless, mixed with clearly unresolved anger. And when that just brews over at McDonald's of all places, and someone snaps. This is just one of those classic crazy customer stories, but it is reminding me that McDonald's used to have snack wraps. I'm assuming this story is from someone in the UK since they don't have snack wraps in the US anymore. And now I'm just sad because those were so good. KFC recently came out with their own version, kind of, but it's just not the same. So McDonald's, I think I speak for all of us when I say, bring back the snack wraps. This one is simply titled Quick Story. It says, "Hey yo, it's me, your working girl, back at it again with just 2 quick things. 2 days ago, 2 separate men asked me in disbelief of how much a single sandwich costs. The day single, it costs $6 and something cents. They clearly couldn't read how much the thing costs, but could clearly order from the menu no problem. Another thing, yesterday a man asked why the 4 for $4 wasn't $4.44, but $4.73. Sales tax, you dummy. Seriously, some people ask stupid questions about sales tax, like, is this the first time they've encountered sales tax before? No, so why would ordering from Wendy's be any different? I always wonder when people don't seem to understand something like tax, when it's like, do you not come across this instance or issue multiple times a day at some points? Are you really trying to make me believe that you're just learning about sales tax, or that you just decided to have an issue with it? So strange, that one was short and sweet. This one is happily titled, I'm going to die inside a Dairy Queen. It reads, I'm 18 years old and have already become a manager at a Dairy Queen in my town. I've only been here for a little over a year, and I think I've experienced enough bizarre human interaction to last for a lifetime. Because my Dairy Queen is the only restaurant in my town, everyone in said town swarms it at closing time like the anchovies did to the Krusty Krab in SpongeBob. I'm tasked with the very difficult job of looking over several incompetent teenagers every night, and I get eaten alive by customers for the littlest things, such as not picking up the phone the first time or being out of a product. I literally just had a lady order 2 blizzards, and once we cashed her out, she demanded us to make a different one because one of the OG blizzards she ordered was not liked by her daughter. Am I just being a bitch? Or is customer catering work extremely unrewarding in every aspect imaginable? Does anyone else feel this way? Perhaps any intriguing stories about relentless customers who are incapable of being satisfied? As if that's unheard of. I am a huge fan of SpongeBob, so I appreciated the SpongeBob reference. This is why when I get something from a restaurant that's good, I like to say that or be extra nice, so people know that they are appreciated when they're doing their job, because we all know that you can get 99 comments that are positive, and just one can be negative, and that's the one that sticks. But yeah, customer service and working with the general public is typically not the most rewarding or satisfying job, unfortunately. This one's title is, Not the Most Interesting Story, but I Cried. Let's read. So this happened sometime in the middle of last year. The only time a customer has ever made me cry. I was working for $9 an hour at a chicken salad restaurant in the middle of entitled Old People Central. Seriously, we have the highest rate of STDs, and it's a retirement community. I digress. I can usually handle rude customers. I've only ever had to walk away once from a lady at my current job telling me it's not that hard when I told her she didn't have enough loyalty points for a free drink. But this by far was the worst experience I've ever had. Back to what I was saying. So a group of people walk in and they're naturally doing that entitled, inconsiderate thing where they are entirely talking over each other, giving me their orders and not giving me even a second to actually enter them in. I'm not a computer, give me a minute. And I stumbled a few times trying to keep up. I asked a guy if he wanted X side and he had an attitude and is like, no, I wanted this one. All right, I stumble again because again, they will not let me finish one order at a time. For 90% of the order after this, that one man, maybe just a ginormous dick or trying to look cool for his golf buddies or what the F ever, proceeds to berate me until I finish their order and they pay. He will not stop, not even for a second, telling me that they would have even been better off going to McDonald's, etc., etc. Just non-stop. I literally was choking back tears reading off their total, and I proceeded to walk away straight to the bathroom afterwards and just bawl for a minute in disbelief. People get off on being so rude to customer service workers. I was just thankful on the upside it wasn't one of the 15 to 17-year-olds that work with me that got berated like I did. I'll literally never forget how shitty that guy was. It's burned into my little customer service mind. Anyways, be nice to service workers. We don't make enough, and even if we did, we don't work for you. Right when they mentioned old people, I tensed up a bit because, you know, they can be not the nicest. I hate when it's so obvious that a person is just so determined to give you a hard time and make your job so much harder than it has to be. And then they try to flip it around and act like you're the dumb or stupid one in the situation. Like they have no idea why you can't just do this one simple thing. Such a game. And like you said, he's with his buddies, just wanting to be a total dick to show off in front of them. Look guys, look how funny it is for me to be rude to this employee and dunk on them. Does that make you feel like a man? Yikes. Anyways, it is nice of this person to be glad that this happened to them and not one of the younger employees. And for real, these employees do not get paid enough to deal with that BS. Alright, so this one's titled, Guy Throws a Fit We Can't Deliver to Him, Proceeds to Drive Down and Lick Our Door. This one already sounds so pleasant. Okay, so it reads, We're a pizza place. The general manager answered the phone to a guy asking if we deliver to a few towns over. Said no, we have a rather small delivery radius due to the rapid increase in population and development in the town we're in. He responded with saying he's gotten delivery before. That's all the context I got before I heard him yell over the phone and my general manager hanging up on him. The town in question is at least no traffic 20 minutes away. 15 minutes goes by, there's a lot of traffic on the roads, but but this guy pulls up. Of course, I had the pleasure of having to talk to him. I want the F slur over the phone. I thought I misheard him, but he repeated it a few times. Me, we're not doing this if you're using that kind of language. I'll use whatever effing language I want. I'll get physical with you if I have to. I want that sand, N-word, that's nice. Points at our general manager. This goes on for some time, me saying I'll help him if he calms down and stops using that kind of language. Him threatening violence and using racial slurs I've never even heard of before. He wanted our corporate number, which there is none. There is none. So many times people have demanded like I have it memorized. We have none. I gave him our store number and the email to the district manager. He did not like that. I'll come behind this counter right now. Me, do you want to step outside? I wanted him out of the store and away from the minors we had working and away from customers. Of course, he's all talk, so he just looked at me. More pointless arguments go by, more violent threats, more we are asking you to leaves go by, and I call the police. Customers were afraid to come into the store because of this. Cop shows up and asks what's up. We explain in a rather civil way, surprisingly. Cop looks at him and sums it up perfectly. So you're throwing a fit because they can't deliver to you? 2 more cops show up. They take him outside, where some time passes, and the cops sit in their car, not watching the guy as he walked around our parking lot yelling. Time passes, and the guy starts standing right in front of our door, blowing kisses and licking it. Yes, licking it. I wish I was lying. I had to take a delivery, so I didn't get to see the end, but he's not allowed to come to our store again or he'll be arrested on site. We also found out he did something similar at Mattress Firm up the street. Man's crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, this is over food. Food, people. I said this in another video, but even if I was a horrible human being that used that type of language, I would be so embarrassed to act like that in front of other people. I'm just way too self-aware to begin with. That guy honestly clowned himself by licking the dirty door. And to have caused havoc at a mattress firm, you have to be truly, truly unhinged. I'm glad the situation wasn't escalated to like a physical or violent altercation. Like this person said, they missed the end, so I'm not really sure what the police ended up doing about it. It sounds like the cops threw him out of the store, but then for some reason sat in their cop cars and watched the rest of these events unfold. Anyways, this situation definitely could have taken a really bad turn, so I'm glad it turned out the way it did. This one is mysteriously or ominously titled Chevy Silverado. It reads, "This just happened an hour or so ago, but I really need somewhere to decompress. Have any of you ever had someone drive into your store? Until tonight, I hadn't ever experienced it. It almost didn't seem real seeing it happen at other stores on TV, but tonight it happened to me. I was working behind the counter with my friends and coworkers, and one of the girls back there started screaming to get down and shoved me and my other coworker to the ground. I've never heard a bomb go off outside of on TV, but that's exactly what I thought when he hit the doors and the windows. Glass flew everywhere while me and the other girls ran/crawled our way to the back with 2 customers behind us. If not for the friend that pushed me down, I would have been smacked in the face with tons of glass shards and could have been close enough to have been hit. Our store is destroyed. I've only been working here for about a month and was starting to feel comfortable with the job and the people I worked with, and it feels like tonight just shattered that sense of safety. Has anyone else experienced this? How long does it take to feel better? I'm so confused and distraught. Please don't drive drunk like the guy in the Silverado did tonight. So many of us could have been and some were hurt physically, but all of us mentally. This was short, but oh my god, what a ride. About a year ago, we had someone drive their car into our local donut shop. It still is not back open because of all the issues it caused. I mean, there's not much for me to say other than I'm glad everybody was okay. Definitely do not drive drunk. You are actually below the scum of the earth if you drive drunk. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Ooh, this one's titled, I had to ban someone from ordering today. So I work at a pizza shop and one of our regulars ordered a cheese pizza for delivery. Everything seemed fine until I received a call from her cursing at me asking why she got pepperoni on her pizza. I explained a mistake had been made and that she got the wrong pizza, so we would remake it and refund her money. Well, she didn't want a new pizza and she said she was calling the health department because apparently it's hazardous and unsanitary for people to be getting food mixed up. Anyone else had a crazy customer complaint? Okay, so at first when I read this, I thought she was calling the health department because she was mad that certain foods like the pepperoni and the pizza were being mixed together, and I was like, has she never heard of pizza toppings? Anyways, I was confused. But like, this situation is not unsanitary because nobody got the pizza before her. Yes, she got the wrong pizza, but it's not like it was delivered to somebody else's house first and then dropped off at hers. Like, I can understand how it would be gross if, let's say I'm at Starbucks. I take an iced coffee thinking that it's mine. I walk out with it, but then I realize it's not actually mine. I then decide to take it back to the store, put it back on the pickup counter, and then Starbucks just proceeds to hand it over to the correct person. That would be gross, and that I would get. That would be disgusting. But just getting somebody else's order, how is that a health hazard? I feel like this lady just wanted somebody higher up to hear her complain. I mean, she was going to get a refund. They were remaking her order. For real, you just can't please everybody. And with that, that's all the stories I have for this video. Again, if you have a food-related horror story that you would like to send to me, I'd love to take a look at it. Again, the instructions on how to do that are in the description box. I'll link my TikTok and my Instagram below as well. Remember, you can get 20% off True Citrus products using the link below. Have a great week, stay safe, eat something yummy, and I'll see you in the next one.